check, check, check. We are. Yeah, we're coming up a little bit, but let's see, we've got 8 seconds to go till we're supposed to be on the air, and I can't hear anything. I don't know whether we're broadcasting or not. Do we have anything here plugged in here? Here, I don't see anything. I don't know why we don't have anything in the headphones.
Guys, we just have to go without the sound in our headphones. We just have to go without the sound in our headphones.
Well, we can't hear each other. Boy. We can't hear each other without any.
That's not true.
You gotta have a headset.
He's got us on manual, so we're broadcasting now, apparently.
Welcome to the Goatee Sports Page. Coming to you live from the Blue Tick Tavern in Maryville and 105.1 FM. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bringing you the best in local sports since 1978. Featuring the Greenfield Gunner, Mike Edwards, former Maryville Scot, Donnie Moore, former UT coach, Ray Trail, from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo Heron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit cards, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. The panel will look back at the Vols' big win at LSU and then spring forward to setting the stage for today's Alabama-Tennessee matchup. Donnie Moore will announce high school scores from around the area and then mark it down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty. Features Heritage High School football. Mountaineer head coach Joe Ossovet makes a Goatees sports page appearance. Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron unveils the Anderson Lumber Company High School Player of the Week as the charging Alcoa girls soccer team will be featured. Donnie Moore and the panel discuss sports headlines from around the country before the Tennessee Smokies spotlight shines on a big week in college football, as we'll break down the SEC games and throw in some headliners from across the land. And finally, the panel gives their Shelter Insurance bold college football predictions for the week. And now it's time for the UT Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Klein Dental Arts SEC Notebook, featuring former UT football coach Ray Trail, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo Heron, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Last Saturday, the Tennessee Volunteers traveled to LSU and completely dismantled the Tigers 40-13. The Vols dominated the game in every category, securing their 5th win of the season and upping their SEC record to 2-0. The victory propelled Coach Heupel's crew to the number 6 position in the AP Top 25 rankings. Coach Trail, I did not see Tennessee walking away with such an easy win in Baton Rouge, and I don't think anybody else on our panel did. Your take on the game?
Well, it was we totally outclassed LSU, totally. And not taking anything away from UT, but LSU was pitiful. They look worse than the first game I saw them play. And there's something going on there that I don't understand. I was totally flabbergasted.
Well,
at the game.
There was something for certain. The week off didn't hurt Tennessee whatsoever. You know, we talked about last week that maybe that week off wasn't good. It might have been better to play, but there was LSU went down and won their game at Auburn, I guess, and then they came home and just was flat as all get out. Would it be safe to say that Tennessee is probably not as good as what they showed, and maybe LSU's not quite as bad as what they showed, or is that kind of out of the realm or not? Because without a doubt, Tennessee was just unbelievable. They just outplayed LSU in every category there was. Period.
They were totally. It was so far. It was like the varsity playing the B team.
Yeah.
They just didn't. They had nothing. I mean, I never did think that LSU looked good, but I tell you what, now that coach is going to get some heat down there, and in a hurry, because I know he signed a big $10 million contract, and I don't. But he has not impressed me at all as a coach this year.
And he walked into a situation there where they had to go out to the transfer portal and get a lot of players, and that's what happens when you make coaching moves that you can't depend on what's left there, because a lot of those players, they jump ship and they go someplace else. Tennessee, Troy Provo Heron, the defense, LSU 28 carries for 55 yards. I mean, that's outstanding.
Yeah, defense played really well, and I mean, obviously part of that was the fact that, Jaden Daniels at quarterback at LSU just isn't very good, and he's obviously having some issues with his receivers. They called a players-only meeting, the week leading up to the game, and so part of that is the fact that LSU just seems pretty anemic on offense, but you have to give Tennessee credit for where it's due. I mean, they played really well defensively, got after the quarterback, forced some turnovers, and did what they had to do to win a game pretty convincingly.
Yeah. Coach Trail, I got to ask you, these teams that Tennessee is playing, they are going for fourth down in really ridiculous situations. I mean, LSU was down 10-0, and instead of kicking a field goal on 4th and 4 down there, I think they were on the 15-yard line, 20-yard line, been a chip shot to make it 10-3 in the first quarter early in the game. Elected to go for it on 4th and 4, didn't make it, and then they went for another call on 4th down and 10 at midfield right there before the half, didn't make it, and Tennessee got points. What's all these teams and Florida? 6 times they went for 4th down? What's going on here?
I don't know. I mean, to me, you take the points every time, and particularly early in the game. It's not like it's the fourth quarter and you're not going to get the ball back or anything like that. But I mean, this by me, why you would go for 4th down, 10-0. I'd kick the field goal and I'm a touchdown different.
Yeah. I think specifically for terms of teams like LSU and stuff like that, I don't think LSU believed in itself enough to say, hey, we have to settle for field goals here. And we can look at it in hindsight all you want about momentum and whatnot, but they were right. Like, they didn't score enough points to keep up with Tennessee, and a team like LSU that doesn't score a lot of offensive touchdowns knew it needed to score touchdowns, not field goals, to keep track with Tennessee. It didn't do that, and the result was what it was.
Hendon Hooker passed for 239 yards, 17 for 28, and 2 touchdowns. And I think what's keeping a lot of these teams off balance when they play Tennessee is the fact that Tennessee's changing tempo. You know, you've talked about Coach Trail that, you know, why do you have to go fast all the time?
Yeah.
And they're going to the line of scrimmage and they're running some plays just like a normal football team, and then all of a sudden they turn the key and they're going fast. I think that makes it tough on the defense as far as getting set, getting players into the game, and so forth and so on. Your thoughts, yeah.
Everybody's doing that now, though. I mean, you see a lot of teams doing the same thing. They go to the line of scrimmage right quick. Sometimes they run a play, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they stop, and it keeps the defense off balance. And you have got to have a base defense that you can count on. You can't be just jumping every which way, trying to get in the right spot. And to me, you got to have a base defense to play them, and then you go from there. But if you don't do that, and you just try to line up, then it messes your timing up, and everybody. But, you know, everybody's doing it. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's not like
It's not
a
surprise to
No, it's
somebody.
not a surprise.
It's
You
just
should
hard to
do-
get ready for.
You should work on that, you know, get you a base defense, and that's what we're going to run. And run it well. That's the biggest problem is if to get ready for a team like Tennessee, it takes a lot of time on the practice field. And you've got to go through a lot of different things to do it. But the main thing you've got to do is rush the passer. Now, if I were playing them, I'd give them so many different fronts up there. I mean, I'd line up any way I wanted to, but I'm going to rush that passer. I mean, I'm going to make him.
You can't give him the time that he's getting this
No.
this year, and that's the offensive line is keeping him from getting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had one really hard hit,
Yeah.
and that was LSU last
Yeah.
week. Got him from the blind side there. He may have had another one along the way,
Yeah.
but there's not been many of them.
No.
And that could have been a tough play right there. You know, that could have been a hit that, you know, could have put him out,
Yeah.
but it didn't. And Marcus, special teams for the Vols, 4 out of 5 field goals, and the one that missed hit the goalpost, and they were quite lengthy, and the punts inside the 10 yards, just more of the same of everything going right last Saturday. But special teams can win you a lot of football games, and they got to feel good about that right now.
Well, if you're Tennessee and you look at the numbers, and if we wanted to peek ahead, if you compare them to another top 10 team that happens to be in the area today, when you look at their net punting, you look at their punt return average, you look at their turnovers on special teams, you look at their field goal percentage, you look at their net yard on kickoff return, they are very, very similar. And I don't think anybody particularly wins a game on special teams right now, but you can certainly lose a game on special teams right now.
Yeah. Coach, they left Hendon Hooker in the game, you know, when it was really over last week.
Yeah.
And they're going to face a team next week, UT Martin, you know, it's not going to be much. What do you think about leaving him in there last week and maybe not giving Joe Milton, you know, some snaps against an SEC team? Huh?
I would have got him out of the game as soon as I could have, because he's the only one we got, and I'd protect him as much as I could. But it also would give the other guys some opportunity to get out there in a big ball game and try to improve himself in case somebody does knock your man out. He can get in there and play a little bit. And I thought it was kind of like running up the score, of trying to run the score up, but I wouldn't sacrifice my quarterback to do that.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you could have got him. I mean, I think you got him a series in the fourth quarter, but if you're like Tennessee was doing something we haven't seen from Josh Heupel offense. They were trying to actually burn clock and go not at breakneck speed and actually do a sustained drive. I don't know that they have a quarterback with any experience doing that
I agree.
I mean, they that was something brand new for them to actually see them go up to the line and be like, okay, we can catch our breath for a minute here, and now we're going to snap it, and now we're going to run the ball. Because that drive took, 8 minutes off the clock?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this question, and I want to get to Alabama real quick right here, but would leaving Hendon Hooker in there have anything to do with the hype surrounding Coach Trail, the Heisman Trophy right now, and the fact that he needs to put some numbers up, and if the team keeps winning, that those numbers are going to come into play, and if he sits out a quarter or two or a half, might affect that in some way, or is that a factor in the decision at all?
Well, you can't coach your team on worrying about the Heisman Trophy.
I agree.
I tell you what, if you are, you're making a bad mistake, because all it takes is one lick and that guy's out.
Right.
And there ain't no Heisman Trophy and nothing. But I mean, I also look at, I got another 5 or 6 games to play, and you know, I would like to have him for those games.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to build him up in any way. I'm going to let him play his game, and I'm going to coach the game like I think it ought to be played. I can't run my show here thinking this guy's got a chance at the Heisman, and it's a long way off.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Marcus has a point there in the fact that I just don't think Tennessee has run that type of offense they ran in that fourth quarter where let's slow it down. Let's see if we can make sure we get all of our signals in, know what we're doing, change our plays at the line. I think that was important for Hendon Hooker to kind of be in there and learn that. And, you know, Bryce Young won the Heisman last year sitting out in second halves. I mean, that wasn't the reason why Hendon Hooker was out there.
Yep. Hey, let's talk about the big game today. It's the third Saturday in October, and that
Is
means,
that true? Is it
that
really?
means it is. It's early this year, but Alabama's in town, and the leaves are turning, and that's the way it ought to be. And we got a beautiful forecast for the game today. Alabama comes in to Neyland Stadium as the number 3 team in the country, coming off challenging a game against Arkansas and Texas A&M. Texas A&M almost pulled the big upset in Tuscaloosa last week, went right down to the last play. Coach Trail, let's look at mindsets right here. Tennessee, no problem at all down in Baton Rouge. Pretty well played the best game of the Josh Heupel era, the best game this football team has played all year. Seemed to have everything going for them. Just going to kind of regroup. Alabama coming in, you got all the hype, you got all the momentum, you got everything rolling for you. Everybody's saying this is the year. And then you got Alabama down there with a former Heisman Trophy winner, the best football coach in the nation, maybe the best football coach that's ever coached the game. They've got 5-star players all over the field, pro prospects. They're not playing particularly well. They put the ball on the ground 3 times or lost 3, had 3 turnovers last week with their backup quarterback. They're not playing maybe up to par. Is that a little bit an area for concern? The fact that we know that they've got everything there, it's just not clicking.
Well,
but you know that they've got it.
Well, I tell you what you do. You go into that game and you prepare for Alabama, you know, and you got to do what you got to do best, and you know what they're going to do. They're going to keep the ball. They're going to run the ball,
Sure.
And they're going to short pass you, and every now and then they'll take a shot way down the field, but they're going to try to maintain the ball, and they've got the defensive linemen and offensive linemen. Their offensive line has not been as good as it has been. The defensive line has played
Exceptional.
good. Yeah, they're. I tell you what, I worry about sometimes that if they get to Hooker too much, he doesn't take a lick very good. And I guarantee you they're going to blitz him and everything. He'll see stuff that he's never seen before today.
Yeah. Troy, the storyline, the Vol offense versus the Alabama defense, especially up front?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, that's the key to this one. I mean, I've said it before. I just don't think, like, when you look at Alabama's offense, obviously it's very apparent Bryce Young if he plays today at all, is not going to be 100%. I've said before that I just don't think Alabama's wide receivers are as dynamic as they've been in the past. Alabama's going to win this game through its defense, and if Tennessee can find a way to disrupt Alabama's defense, which is really, really, really good, then Tennessee has a chance to win this game today.
Marcus Fitzsimmons, I heard a statistic last week that I thought was really interesting. In games in which Tennessee scores 30 or more points, they are 12-2. Alabama, when they hold teams below 30 points with their defense, they are 39-0. 39-0. When the other team scores more than 30 points, Alabama is 4-4. Tennessee is 0-4, scoring less than 30 points. Your comments on that?
Well, if you want to think about it, up until the wheels came off in the fourth quarter last year, Tennessee was on track to break 30 points last year in Tuscaloosa. You have 2 fourth-quarter turnovers that turned that game around and turned it into a rout. But it was a 4-point game in the fourth quarter. Alabama is the Nick Saban team. They live and die on their defense. Troy's right on that. They're always going to be defense first, so that they're going to win when they keep people under 30. And Josh Heupel's an offensive mind, and when his guys get more than 30, more than 40, more than 60, break for 80, they're going to win games.
Yeah, Coach Trail, which is better if you're on the Alabama side? A banged up, so to speak, Bryce Young, maybe half as good, 3/4 as good as what he could be at full speed, or a backup quarterback that's entirely healthy going into this one?
I think for the team's sake, I think they're going to go with their main man. That's what I would do, and I'd rest him when I could. But I think for the psyche of the team, you need to go with your main man.
If they go with Bryce Young, I would assume that they would come out and they would run the football. They would take their offensive line against Tennessee's defensive front and they would run it. But that being said, a lot of their offense is their quarterback, Young, being able to scramble, being able to make plays. Are they going to take that away from him today? And then what kind of a passing game are they going to have with him out there? How limited is he going to be on the field for them?
Well, the thing is, there's a difference here. They got a lot of good football players. We can't sell them short. And they're going to run the football, and they're going to make you stop the run. And if you don't stop the run, they're going to continue to run it. But they're going to make it where that if he throws a pass, it's going to be a short pass, pick passes, but I don't think that they're going to make him run the ball all the time. I think they're going to line up there and say offensive line is going to win that war.
One thing Bryce does really well, and I don't think they talk about it that much. They talk about his ability to run, his ability to throw. But one thing he does very, very well is he hides the football very well. He makes it very difficult for that defense to look over there and see if the tailback has the ball or if Bryce rolling out has the ball. Mm-hmm. And he is very effective rolling out and pulling an extra defender, shadowing him away from the running back that actually has the football. And I think that was one of the key things Alabama was missing against A&M.
An update on Bryce Young. Nick Saban just said on College Game Day that they're going to let him go through warm-ups and make a decision at warm-ups.
I can tell you that decision's already been made.
Well, yeah, I guarantee you.
Hey, Troy.
That just makes you work. He's making you work against 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Tennessee, outside of Pittsburgh, have jumped on teams. They jumped on Florida. They got out to the lead. They jumped on all over LSU. How important is it today in this contest of them upsetting Alabama to get off and put some points up early? Say get up 10-0, get up 14-0, playing their game. How important is that in comparison to maybe letting Alabama get up by 10 points where they run the football so well?
Yeah, I feel like obviously if you're Tennessee, you want to ghost fast. I don't necessarily think it's the end-all, be-all. I think their offense is good enough that once they figure it out, they can score some points. It is big from this perspective. We've talked about this. If Bryce Young is not 100%, or if Milroe is starting at quarterback, Alabama might not have the offensive capability to come back from down 10, 14, 20 points today, if whatever that case is, whether it be Bryce Young, a hobbled Bryce Young, or a Milroe, that's the situation that Tennessee finds itself in, that if it can jump out early, it may well put Alabama away because it doesn't have that offensive capability.
And you put that doubt in in the players' minds. If they don't have Bryce Young and they're down by 7 or 10 early, you put some pressure on them, and that's when you might see them make mistakes.
Yeah. Coach Trell, they talk about, well, this is a great Tennessee crowd. They're loud. They're going to be unbelievable over there. They think this is going to be their year, but this is nothing new to Alabama. They've been in these pressure cookers before. They've been in these big games before. How much of a factor, or is there a factor, with that crowd over there today playing Alabama? If it was somebody else, I'd feel a little bit better about it. But this is a team that's been through national championships and pressure cookers, and a coach that's been there before. He knows how to handle his team going into these games. What kind of a factor is the crowd going to be today?
It's not going to be a factor. The thing that I would worry most about if I were Tennessee is the overconfidence of my players. They've been, they beat LSU and everybody's been hoorah and everything. You got to come back down to the ground level, and you got to play from the ground up.
Well,
and if they don't do that, if they get out there and thinking that they just, Alabama's, if you hadn't played at Alabama, you'll find out it's a different game.
Yeah. Well, they've beaten 3 ranked teams, but now they've got a ranked team that's in the top 4 in the country. And if they want to be in the top 4 next week, this is their opportunity.
Well, they've been in the top 4 for the last 15 years.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this is Tennessee's opportunity to jump into the top 4 this week, depending on what materializes around.
If not now, when?
Exactly.
I mean, are you just going to concede that Nick Saban is going to beat you as long as he chooses to coach?
Yeah. Well, the other part, Troy, is Tennessee's secondary. They haven't played real well all year, and we don't know how effective Bryce Young's going to be with the throwing game. But, by golly, will they exploit Tennessee's secondary today when they can?
That is we talk about offensive line versus defensive line. That's a massive matchup. I mean, obviously, Jalen McCullough's not playing today. Warren Burrell already hurt. As I've said, I think that's a positive, but that's okay. Tennessee has some injuries in that secondary and some missed players in that secondary that I think present an opportunity for Alabama to exploit that in a situation. But again, I just don't. Alabama doesn't have that guy that they've had before. Like, you don't look at any of those guys and think,
they may by the time the day's over.
That's true. I just don't look at those guys and think, those guys are the first-round picks that we've seen from Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith.
I just think you got to be real careful, Coach Trail, of saying, well, this is our year. Alabama's just not as good. Hey, they're not in the top 3, and they've been without their quarterback the last. And I think it's more important to look that they've been through Arkansas and Texas A&M the last 2 weeks, two pretty good football teams, to get here. How worn are they coming in here mentally and physically? I think that's a bigger factor than them just saying, well, they're not playing very well. This is our year.
The thing that you have to look at, this is Alabama, folks. I mean, this is not Vanderbilt. This is not anybody. They've got number ones at about every position.
Yeah.
And they got number ones below their number ones.
Yeah, they got ones backing up ones.
And you thinking about playoffs, today's the day. You come out of this one, you can start talking about playoffs and ramifications there as far as it goes. So,
but this is a big break for Tennessee. I mean, this is a big break.
Tennessee has put themselves in a position where they can control their own destiny.
That's right.
They've got Alabama, and they go to Georgia. And I want to just underline Georgia. Everybody's talking about Alabama today, but regardless of whether Tennessee wins or loses today, they can still get things done by winning out and going to Georgia and beating Georgia, because I think that's where the East is going to be on the line. It's a Tennessee-Georgia race, and then if they beat Georgia, their playoff hopes are hopefully in line.
Yep, I agree, but I think that's huge, and you're right. Like, Georgia is the one that determines the East. It determines if you play for an SEC championship game, all that stuff. With that said, you want to win this game. Like, you don't sit here and just think, oh, well, if we lose, it's okay. We still got Georgia. Like, Georgia is a really, really good football team. Go out here, beat an Alabama team that is more mortal than that Georgia team is in its current iteration, and make a name for yourself. But
more important, you go into Georgia undefeated. You go into Georgia hopefully undefeated. You got Kentucky, and I know you got some other games, but you go in there, and if you lose that game, you could still run the table and have one loss and still talk about playoffs.
Why that's big is because you'd be undefeated in a situation where you've beaten Florida, you've beaten LSU in Baton Rouge, you've beaten Alabama. Then guys probably look at Georgia and say, they're just another football team. Now, granted, they're probably the best football team in the country, but we can beat them. We've beaten everybody else.
Kickoff today, 3:30. Games on CBS. Game day's in Knoxville. Game day's been there 2 out of the last 3 weeks. We'll see how it goes. It's right around the corner. It's going to be a packed house over there. Everything's on the line. I'm excited. Everybody's excited around here. Looking forward to it. Hey, it's time to turn the page. Next up, it's the local scoreboard with Donnie Moore and Mark It Down featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality.
Wow.
For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the local scoreboard, sponsored by Mandy B Street Realty. Donnie Moore, it's glad to have you back from being up east there and getting a taste of some good winter weather.
Yeah, no kidding.
And before you get to the scores there, I didn't bring in the big factor of that Tennessee-Alabama game today, and that's the fact that Peyton Manning's going to be in the house.
He is.
I'd lock him. I'd bring him over here and lock him up at the Blue Tick Tavern, let him watch the game on television, because I tell you, his track record's not very good over there in big games.
No, it's
and
not.
To make it worse, he's going to be on game day.
He is. He's
so
going to be a guest picker.
Everybody in the country knows the guy's going to be there.
It's a skewed statistic, Mike. It's a skewed statistic. They generally bring Peyton in for the Florida game, and we all know Manning never did very well against Florida.
No,
All
he
right.
did not. You're
All
right.
right. Well, I'll tell you, if we lose and he's there today, he better leave real quick.
The sheriff better get out of town, hadn't he?
You got that right. Donnie, give us some scores, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. Well, let's start off with our local scoreboard here. We had a game on Thursday night this week in our local high school football. Seymour hosted Granger, and Granger was not kind to the Eagles, Marcus.
It was a special teams meltdown.
Well, okay, well, we'll blame it on that. So, but 28-7 was your final in that contest in favor of Granger. The Tomatoes took it out on the Eagles right there. They threw a lot of tomatoes at the Eagles and whipped up on them 28-7. Last night's contest, Alcoa hosted Union County in a contest that was, some said, was retribution for the COVID episode last year when Union County had an episode of COVID at the last minute and canceled the contest.
Not just an episode, a mysterious episode.
A mysterious, you could some say mysterious episode of COVID.
But it's okay. It was mysterious, but it miraculously cured itself, Troy. So it's
It
okay.
did, yes, it did. It worked itself out, didn't it? A day later, you're right. But the Tornadoes started off strong and scored 42 points in the first half, and only one touchdown in the second half, so ended up beating the Union County 49-0 last night. Greenback hosted Harriman last night and scored 32 on Harriman to Harriman's 7. The Blue Devils couldn't muster more than a touchdown. And 32-7 was your final last night in favor of the Cherokees.
Greenback's playing itself into playoff position.
They are, aren't
huge.
they? Yeah, that's a good job, Cherokees. We'll move on to Heritage last night. We got Heritage in the house today.
Yeah.
Nice job, guys, last night after after somewhat of a debacle with the electricity. Not your fault, but hey, you guys play through diversity and adversity.
What's going on with electricity? We had problems this morning too. Was that a
We
carryover
did. That
from
must have
last
been.
night?
Yeah, they must have sent that our way today. But they had a total blackout last night, from what I hear. But hey, you guys play through adversity and muster on. But Sevier County came to town last night and scored 13 points, but Heritage mustered 3 more. So won that one 16-13. Maryville hosted Hardin Valley Academy last night and wouldn't let Hardin Valley score more than 6 on them last night. Maryville scored 42, won that one 42-6. I'll tell you in just a minute what these teams are going to do next week too. Kings Academy had an open date last night, did not play. William Blunt made a long journey last night. Up to Dobbins-Bennett, up to Kingsport, played Dobbins-Bennett, and the journey home was even longer. Got beat 55-7. Next week, these teams are going to Seymour's going to play South Green, who beat Johnson County last night, 21-15. Alcoa hosts Tyner Academy, who whipped
unbeaten.
Up. Who beat
unbeaten Tyner Academy.
Yeah, unbeaten Tyner Academy. They beat Meigs County last night 26, blanked them 26-0. Greenback goes to Midway next week, who beat Sunbright 33-18. Just to let you know what some of these people are doing. Heritage goes to Lenore City next week, who blanked Hickson 34-0. Maryville goes to this is a biggie. Maryville goes to West next week, who beat Cocke County. West is still unbeaten. Who beat Cocke County last night 64-0.
That was halftime, right?
I think you're right. Put a whipping on Cocke County last night. Hapless Cocke County. And TKA goes to the Webb School next week. Is that the Webb School at Bell Buckle? Okay. Webb School at Bell Buckle next week. They host Bell Buckle. Sorry about that. And William Blunt. Now this could be William Blunt's chance.
This is their golden opportunity of October.
They host Hardin Valley last week, who lost to Maryville 42-6. So
somebody's coming out of that game with their first win.
This is true.
Unless Coach, you still can't tie in high school, can you?
You cannot.
Okay.
All right. So this could be the golden opportunity right here. Just very quickly, Thursday night, a couple of contests here in the county. District 2A Soccer Championship. We'll talk about this one a little bit later. Number 1 Alcoa beat number 4 Gatlinburg Pittman 4-0. And move on to regionals coming up this week. And then also Thursday evening in the Class AAA sectional volleyball tournament, Maryville defeated Morristown West 25-19, 25-10, and 25-15. Swept Mo West and advances to the state tournament. So congratulations to those teams. That'll do it for the local scoreboard. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now I'm going to flip it over to veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down.
Now, and Troy is not taking notes. I told him, when Donnie comes back, take notes on how to do the transition. The last 2 weeks we have had very, very soft transitions from news over to Mark It Down. We're pleased to be joined this morning, and I think they're actually coming straight out of the locker room because the game ended so late last night. I think they took showers and just came over here to join us at Blue Tick. Members of the Heritage football team, we got Coach Joe Ossavet, Wesley Deck, and Ryan Butler joining us after that win over Sevier County.
Great win.
Great win.
Sure was.
And Troy was there. And Troy was busy texting me from the time the power went out until the power came back on. This thing got actually finished.
And it was so late, him getting out of there, that we don't have any donuts this morning.
I know. I'm sorry, Mike.
We get Dunkin' Donuts, but now Troy can't pick them up. Troy, I want you to set it up for him. But the final play, the decisive turnover in this game, kind of set that up for the people who may have missed it in the paper this morning.
Yeah, I think Ryan will tell you he got let the receiver get behind him a little bit there, but a tremendous recovery from Ryan Butler on a kind of a lobbed pass up down the field on a 3rd and 26 or whatever it was, and Ryan makes the play and ends it, and that is as loud I've heard that stadium in a very long time. I'm sure these guys will agree with me. They've been playing for a few years, but that's the loudest I've heard that stadium since I've been here. A win that Heritage has desperately needed for a long time, and it felt good to watch those kids celebrate that one last night.
Well, Ryan, you talk about the play. What did that ball look like to you?
It was just floating in the air. I had to go up and get it.
Were you looking it all the way into your hand, and did you have the time to think, don't drop this?
No, not really. It was quick.
Coach, statement win, I think, for the program. Heritage is 4-4, but more importantly, not only beat a ranked team, but gutted out the win in all sorts of a situation. How good can you feel about this morning?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great win. Like we said, we spoke about this early on to the kids in the week about making a statement. We haven't had that marquee win yet at Heritage High School. We let the Knox Central one slip through our fingers, and this was this win. We got to use this as a platform to take the next step if we want to get to where we want to get to as a program. And, kudos off to the entire team and staff, and they did a great job. You talk about Ryan Butler's pick, and that was an amazing job he did going up in High Point in the football. But we'd be remiss if you watched that play with the pressure we got from Caleb O'Connor and Eli Golder to force the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands a little bit earlier than he wanted to. They were running a skinny post, and he had to get rid of it a little bit early. because he had pressure in his hand. So that, you know, people see the big play by Ryan. It was a amazing play, and he caught the turnover. But it just goes to show you the resiliency that our team had last night in the play. Come back and finish that thing off and get the win where we needed to get.
Well, I think the big question Troy did not know the answer to this morning. You've beaten Seymour. You've beaten Sevier County. Do you get a Sevier County championship trophy for that? Or?
I'm lucky. I know what both those places are. I'm still trying to find my way around East Tennessee. So, yeah.
Wesley, talk a little about how big was it for the team to come away with this win last night?
It was good. Like Coach Josh said, we haven't had a statement win in a while at Heritage, and considering that we make playoffs and we still have a chance to get a higher seed, it's great.
From your perspective, and you've been around the program, it's 2 weeks to the end of the season, and you all can legitimately still be talking about a playoff spot. That's got to feel good as far as what you've been through in your playing career so far.
It's great. It's a different feeling that we've had in a while, and it's great to have a new feeling in town.
Coach, kind of set this up for us. You all had a long delay.
Yeah.
And we've seen these things on the college level. How do you manage that kind of thing where you have no control over the situation? You've got to keep these guys ready to play at any moment, basically.
Absolutely, great question. I think I've been fortunate enough to kind of be a part of the lightning delays early on in the year. So that's the kind of protocol we kind of went about. Sit them down, make the corrections, get food, and we're lucky enough that Ruby Tuesdays gives us a post-game meal. So once you start getting to a 60-minute delay, you got to put some food in them, get them water. So that's kind of the format we used as this thing went into, I think what was a 90-minute delay to get food in them, make the corrections, keep them hydrated, and then go play. So that's kind of what we did, was follow the lightning delay that you would normally get sometimes in early on in the season.
So, but was it more like an extended halftime?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yep. So, we got in there, made our corrections, because that's what we do at every halftime. And then as this thing started to grow, and it wasn't just the ability to go flick the switch back on, if you will, just to now to go. We had one at my first year at Tennessee, and we played West Virginia. If you remember, we had the lightning storm. So it was kind of the same type of format, which every coach kind of follows. Get food in their belly, get them water, sit them down, get them off their feet, and you're at the mercy of either the lightning or, in this case, the lights. And 20 minutes, go out there warm and get ready to play. And that says a lot, because if you watch the game a little bit, we had some momentum going in there into half. We had Sevier County on their heels a little bit, and obviously, that long delay, it takes a little bit of wind out of your sails. So we had to come out and prepare ourselves and get ready to go for another 20 minutes of football, when I thought we kind of had that thing rolling there, especially on the offensive side, the last 7 minutes of the half. But, again, it goes back to our kids being resilient, our staff doing an amazing job with the corrections at halftime, and find a way to pull out a win.
Wesley, Ryan, what was it like from the players' perspective? Did it suddenly just go black on you guys? And were you still in the field, or were you like a blackout in the locker room when this happened?
It was a locker room. We just got in there after the halftime buzzer went off, and then we just were waiting for the coaches to come out of their meeting, and the next thing we know, it just goes black.
Having been underneath Heritage Stadium in past years, I can think of better places I'd rather be when the lights went out. I'm assuming that you guys just responded to it and just waited for everything to kind of work itself out.
Yeah, we just were just sitting there waiting, because we never knew how long it would take or like what we were going to have to do.
So talk a little bit about how when you did come out of this, you have a second half. Sevier County you had a lead, but Sevier County was not going away. What was your all's mindset for the second half of this game, and how did you kind of respond to what was the situation in the second half?
Just come out and play. I mean, we had to keep them back on when they're on offense, and have our defense get some big stops. I think our offense did pretty well coming out of half.
We just had to finish their drives too, because I know we drove down the field, and then right before half, we drove down the field and we ended up with a field goal, but it got blocked. But we just got finish drives like we started them.
That can, that was one of the moments, and with everything else that went on, it didn't really make as big an impact. But I mean, you all get what is a potential scoring drive, and it doesn't work out. That can be a game killer at times. It wasn't a game killer last night. I mean, you all came back out resilient from that and kept the pressure on. What do you like? You come back from the sideline. What do you break down from that? What are you talking about on the sideline as to what are we going to do the next series?
We just got to change our mindset because like you said, it could be a game changer with our mindsets. But we just got to come back, get corrections from the sidelines, and go out and finish.
And defensively, Coach mentioned that there were some support that probably went unmentioned going into the interception. What keys are you? How well does this defense read off of each other as far as when you see that pressure coming? Is that when you start seeing he's going to throw it wild, or it's going to go up, or is it more of a back and forth situation with the defense as far as how you all read each other?
Well, usually, if we're getting pressure, that quarterback's going to have to force a throw, or he's going to run it. So just reading off of that, I think we did pretty well.
Coach, I'm going to say it's probably been 9 years since I've seen a Heritage team that bounced back from a situation like this, and actually it was against a Seymour team that year where they put together a 22-play drive to clinch that game. I was really proud to see Heritage do this. I mean, that was great to see the program come back and make this step up. And no pressure on you, but you've got Lenore City. Talk a little bit about what you want to see these guys do and how quickly do you make them flush this game away?
Well, Troy can tell you, this game will be flushed by the time our feet hit the pavement tomorrow. We'll go in and coaches will be in there today. We'll make corrections, grade our film out, and then we're going to get ready for a good Lenore City who's been playing well as of late. Let these kids enjoy this one. This hasn't been done here in a bit. But we need to take this football game yesterday and use this momentum as a platform to get us to where we want to go. I mean, there's still a ton of goals ahead for this program. I love, and I said it when I was here last time, I love what these kids bring to the table. They don't ask why, they don't ask what, they just ask, let's go. And I love that about that kind of team. You go to war with that team every Friday. So we're looking forward to finish this thing out the right way and see if we can make some noise in the playoffs.
Well, guys, we appreciate you coming in, especially because of the late night. Congratulations on a great win for the program. Best luck the last 2 weeks of this season. Let's see what y'all can do for it. Make a postseason run for us.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Coach, before you get out of here, congratulations on your win last night. Tennessee's got Bama today. Your thoughts? We'll switch gears just a little bit, but I don't want you getting out of here.
Here comes the curveball.
I knew this was coming. In the car, I said, how am I answering this question? No, I think number one, first and foremost, is Bryce Young playing for Alabama. I think it's a different offense when he's on the field. It's going to be very interesting to see, especially when Tennessee has the football. Alabama's going to play bump and run. They're going to be playing man-to-man coverage. Can Alabama's bump and run stay with the wide receivers on the perimeter for Tennessee? I think that's the Budweiser changing point of the game. And if Bryce Young does not play for Alabama, I think Tennessee fans will be happy here. If he does play, I think it'll be an issue. I really do. I don't know. I'm not so sure how good Tennessee is in the back end when Bryce Young has the ability to throw the football. But the interesting dynamic is going to be, can Alabama's defensive backs, when they're playing one-on-one, because they're not going to let Hendon run the football down the field, can they play bump and run and not give up the explosives?
How big a factor do you think it will be if Alabama puts Tennessee in a one-dimensional type of deal in which they take away the running game from Tennessee and force them to throw the football?
That's what they're going to do. I mean, every year coached against them, and they don't want to make you one-dimensional and say throw the ball to beat us. And usually their cats are better than your cats. So they're going to play a ton of bump and run, bracket coverage like Saban always wants to do, and they're going to limit Hendon Hooker from running the football.
Yep.
A lot of one-on-one, a lot of 50-50 balls in the air. Who's going to be the better athlete to go up and get it? Is Tillman playing today?
No, he's not.
That's a big issue. Tillman's not playing. That's a huge factor because they're going to play bump and one. Like I said, they're going to say throw the ball 50-50 and go get it because they're not going to let Hendon beat him in the run game.
Yep. Coach, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the season. Keep it going, and good luck against Lenore City.
Guys, I appreciate you having us on as always.
Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron announces the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality.
Wow.
For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times sports editor Troy Provo-Heron. Troy, you got the Alcoa girls soccer team, and they are making some noise, guy.
They definitely are.
Yeah.
6 straight district championships. And girls, I wanted to give y'all this as a team award just for y'all kind of keeping it going. I know you guys don't know anything other than district championships. You've won it every year you've been here. But from left to right on your dial and left to right on your TV screen, we have Annalise Earhart, Scout Louderback, Peyton Potts, and Ella Murr. And Annalise, I want to start with you. Just kind of take me through what Thursday is like in y'all's locker room. Obviously, y'all, like I said, y'all don't know anything but winning this thing. It's kind of how do you balance the expectation of winning it with also maybe not overlooking your opponent Thursday?
Yeah, so we definitely go into it like any other game, but it definitely has a bit more pressure. We don't, like you said, we don't know anything but winning that championship, and especially for the younger girls, for the 4 of us, it's really important to like let those younger girls know they are supported, but that this game means everything and that they have to go out and put their best foot forward, and the entire team has to put their best foot forward.
Scout, Peyton, I want to talk to y'all about defense because y'all didn't give up a goal in this entire district tournament. Just kind of what has been the strength of this group this year? You've kind of been really good defensively all season long.
Well, honestly, I think it starts like from each of us, like knowing we played defense our whole lives. We have Ella as our keeper, great keeper. She talks to us. She lets us know we have great communication. Our coach is a defensive coach. It kind of goes to like everything. Like, I mean, let's just talk about today's football game, like the Alabama-Tennessee game. That game's going to come down to defense, right? Whoever has the best defense is going to win. Alcoa, we beat Maryville earlier in the year. We have a defensive head coach, Nix. He's our head coach. Good defense. It all starts with that. Like, defense wins championships. Offense sells tickets. That's how it is.
We have 4 in the back, but me, Scout, and Lila have all played together for 3 years now. So, like, we're very, like, knit together. And then we have 1 freshman, and she's really good. So, like, just adding her on, it makes it a little easier because, like, all 3 of us can lead her. And we also have Ella, who always leads us. So, like, it's not really that hard to, like, be strung together instead of, like, having, like, 3 freshmen and then just a veteran on the back line.
And we all trust each other a lot, which also helps. And we're a pretty close team, which helps the communication on the field through just playing through the back, going all the way up, making passes and everything.
Ella, how much comfort does that give you as a goalkeeper that you do have 3 backs in front of you that you've played with for a long time and you kind of all have that kind of that communication down, that understanding with each other, know how you play and all that stuff?
It makes me a lot more confident in knowing that I can trust my back line to have my back. If I come out, I know Scout or Peyton is going to drop in and cover that backside. And it comes from having that connection on and off the field. We all hang out outside of soccer, and that's what's grown our connection and how we've been able to connect with each other on the field.
And I said you have to talk about this offense, too. 13 goals in this district tournament and 9-0 victory over Pigeon Forge on Tuesday, 4-0 against Gatlinburg on Thursday. Just kind of what have y'all seen, just kind of what has led to y'all's success in the last week in terms of being able to put the ball in the back of the net?
Yeah, definitely our success comes from both our veterans and our new players. We have me and Wendy up in the offense that are veterans, and Charlotte Timon. And we're just like a really tight group, and we're helping lead Anna Kate and Natalie, who are some of our younger girls, and they're stepping into that role really quickly, and they're helping us build the offense while we have our strong defense already.
And I did want to talk about that because obviously Charlotte set the program record a year ago for goals, and you guys leaned on her so much in terms of offensive production. With Natalie coming in, with AK coming in, just kind of how much pressure has that taken off of y'all as an offense to have more options up front?
Yeah, definitely. Before, in our past seasons, we've definitely looked straight to Charlotte for our goals, but now we have a bit more of an outlet, and we can attack differently, attack from the outside as well as the middle, and it just makes us much more of a threat to upcoming opponents because we can attack from any angle, and we just have that really strong offense.
Hate to bring up some bad memories, but obviously Charlotte had the injury in the state championship game last year, wasn't playing at 100%. Just with those extra options, just how much confidence does that give y'all that y'all aren't just trying to force the ball to Charlotte, but you have an understanding that, hey, other girls can get goals and we can win games in another fashion than we could a year ago?
For sure. That gives us a lot more confidence, especially because us as a team, we've kind of been injury-ridden just throughout all of the years we've played. And so it's also a bit more of a confidence that if somebody does get hurt, we have other people and we have some depth to the team now.
Scout, I want to take you back to Thursday and just kind of what was that celebration like? I know it's kind of expected to win a district championship, but it's not also something you ever want to take for granted, right?
Well, it's always fun, like to win something, especially that big, especially to keep our reputation going. Like any game for most of our sports, we're known, like Alcoa as a sports school, we're good, we're strong. So just to play against that and have that reputation, you just keep it going and keep it moving forward, and that's what we do. So it's always fun to just keep that, I guess, like kind of legacy going on.
Peyton, is there that inner school culture kind of competition where football is obviously dominates and y'all have dominated for a long time? Volleyball's played really good in recent years. Do y'all have that as student athletes to where y'all kind of always talking with each other about, hey, we accomplished this, we accomplished that? You're trying to one-up each other even in various sports?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes, like, the football team's going to be like, yeah, we're better than every other team because they win state, but, like, it's just like ours is harder than theirs. So, like, our football team's good, but they know. And, yeah, kind of, like, sometimes the boys will tease us and stuff, but, like, the girls, we're pretty, like, we uplift each other. And, like, when the volleyball team made it to sub-state, we were, like, lifting them up. And when we won, everyone was like, congrats, and, like, all throughout the school.
Ella, obviously now you turn the page to Chucky Doak, which was a wild game a year ago in y'all's sectional. Just kind of what you remember about them from last season.
They're aggressive. Coming from all angles, they're aggressive out of the back and up top. And we just got to be prepared for that. Last year, I think, we came into the game thinking they weren't going to be as much of a competition as they were. And that's not what we're doing this year. We're ready and we're prepared.
Scott, if I'm not mistaken, I think y'all had a penalty and that was the only goal, and then it kind of got away from y'all in that region championship a year ago. Just how much are y'all looking forward to the opportunity to kind of make amends for that game a year ago?
A lot. Like, I can't even stress that enough. The amount that, especially us upperclassmen as captains, as just like head of the team, everything, we're making sure everything's in check. We got to have people listen to us. We got to have people taking it seriously. Because sometimes our young classmen don't like to listen, like, to goof off. But we're just trying to get that through their head that this is important. This is the next step. Like, you have to do this game. You have to be coming into it seriously, everything like that. Like, if you're not, it's make or break. And we're just trying to get that through their head. Because we want to win this game more than anything, probably. Just to, yeah.
And he says it more important than the fact that last year when you lost them, it was the region championship game. Your season wasn't over. You got a chance to go on the road in sectional. Y'all won that game, went to the state tournament. You lose this one on Tuesday, and that's it. Y'all kind of clean out your lockers.
Yeah, it's definitely very nerve-wracking, especially for us upperclassmen when these are our last chances to play. And we're, like Scout said, we're coming in with a severe intensity, and we know what we're coming up against this year, and we're ready for it, and we're planning for it, and we're not taking anything lightly. And so, yeah, it's definitely a lot more pressure now that it's a knockout game.
Peyton, nice that you get to play it at home this year as opposed to traveling there. I know it's kind of a long trip with some meandering back roads that takes a while to get there. Nice that you just kind of get in your car, go to the pitch you know best, and play them at home this year instead of on the road.
Yeah, I like playing at home better because also, like, we know our field, and then also, like, the crowd. Like, if we play there, like, all their parents and everyone's going to be there, their whole school, and, like, that can, like, the younger people that have not had the high school experience, that can really get in their head. So I'm glad we're playing at home because we will have more of our fans, so they'll probably be more uplifted than, like,
Chucky Doak.
Yeah, they won't be, like, beaten down, so,
right.
like, they won't get in their head. Like, they'll have more upliftment.
Scout, and when you start this year, obviously Coach Corley leaves and Coach Bird takes over, and you kind of have to learn a whole new play style that Andy plays with and all that stuff. Has it just been nice to kind of succeed at the same level y'all always have, despite all the changes with Coach Bird and some new freshmen in, that kind of y'all have kept the standard that y'all know and play by?
I think so. I think it also shows to us as players that it's not mainly about the style of play. It's about how we all know the game and how we can all, like, come together and we all know each other. We all play together we played with them since middle school. So we're all pretty much on the same page. We've grown up together. So changing the style isn't really the biggest issue. It's about just the communication. In some games, you know, we take it. We don't do that good. But most of the games, we're pretty good at communication. We're pretty good at trusting each other. And I think that applies a lot onto the field.
Ella, just now that y'all are in the postseason, how much do you think y'all took away from a hard non-conference? Because obviously you went to the Cleveland tournament, you play Maryville every year, CAK, Seymour is a team that usually is either in the sectional or in the state. How much do you think y'all have benefited from the fact that y'all have played really good teams throughout the year?
Yeah, throughout the year we've played harder teams, and that's definitely shown that we have to hang in there with those harder teams. So when we come back to district, it's not as hard to hang in there with those teams because they're not up to the same level that they are at. So it definitely shows moving forward, you're playing better teams the farther you go into the state and into the tournament, and that's shown throughout. We've played harder teams, so we've prepared for that.
And at least we've mentioned the state championship loss a year ago. Just how much motivation did that give y'all, especially as the upperclassmen in this group, to kind of push yourselves in the off season and make sure that this time y'all can win that state championship?
Yeah, it's everything for us, I think. It was devastating last year when we lost, and we had gone so far, and it had just been such a strong season for us last year. And I think especially for the four of us, especially for the upperclassmen, there's just that extra fire. There's that extra intensity for us because we know what we're working towards. We've been there, and we want to be there again. And I think we're definitely working to put that into our younger girls and teach them about that and show them that they can have that intensity too, and show them what they can accomplish as well, because we've been there and we're almost there.
Scott, I've never played in a state championship game and lost, so I'm just kind of wondering, like, how much does that linger with you for a bit? Like, it's got to hurt, like, you're so close to a state championship, and I know you're proud of getting there, but it also has to sting to just fall a little short, right?
Yeah. the way you put that really hit. But really, I mean, just to fall so short at that level when last season we put in so much work, and this season we've been putting in so much work, and we've been building. I think from last season, I think we have improved, and I think we know more now what type of teams we're going to be expecting. It's different each year, but we know that this year is probably going to be the best teams because of what we played. Every single team has gotten better, so we just are going in expecting that. We're prepared. We hopefully will be prepared, but we have that, like she said, extra intensity, extra fire, because we want that. We want this win.
Peyton, she mentions the fact that she feels like this team is better than it was a year ago. Was there a moment in this season where it kind of clicked and all of y'all were like, oh, we're pretty darn good?
Yeah, I kind of knew, like, when we kind of started the season, because, like, we haven't had as many girls as we had this year. Like, we've had enough for a JV team, and we've never had a JV team. And also, I've known, like, the freshmen that were coming in, they were really good. So, like, we were having, like, in the state championship, we had, like, some subs that had to play in from the starters, and I knew, like, we were going to have more depth on and off the bench.
I don't want to put any pressure on you here, but the one state championship that Alcoa has won as a girls soccer program, their goalkeeper made a game-saving penalty kick in shootout to win. So no pressure on you, but just when we've talked about the standard of this program, and it obviously it starts with the district championship. Y'all have won that 6 years in a row. I know y'all want to win a region championship and then go on and win a state championship. So when you look at this team, do you think you guys kind of have the capability to pull off that trifecta?
We definitely have the potential. We've had the potential last year. We lost 3 seniors last year, and we've gained a whole bunch of freshmen. And those freshmen have good skill and good technical skill, and they know what they're doing. And so we have the potential if we work hard and put in the effort.
And
but at this
will
point,
be
it's a
out
good
there.
mentality that we have to have.
And at least I want to talk about Natalie for just a second. Has it all surprised you, just kind of the way she's kind of burst on the scene and kind of been as good as she has in terms of scoring goals and all that stuff?
I think for the four of us, it's not surprising at all. We came in and we knew she was going to be definitely I don't know that we knew she was going to be this good, but she has definitely built a depth for us, and she's a key player for us. She's definitely, like, she's come in and she's taken that role and she's taken it with stride, and she's just scoring left and right and working really hard.
Scout, I'm not sure who is on the other side of y'all's region tournament, but just kind of what does that look like in terms of the other semifinal and who y'all would play in the championship should y'all beat Chucky Doak?
Well,
when y'all beat Chucky Doak.
Hopefully. I'm assuming that they're really good.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of the same page. I don't really know who's on the other side.
Well, that's good. That means you're not looking ahead.
Yeah,
you're
I just
focused on Chucky Doak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Usually end up playing Oneida at
Right.
some point, and that's definitely what we're looking forward to and preparing for, but we're looking forward to play anybody.
Right. Well, we want to thank you all for coming on this morning, and congratulations on a district championship. Now go bring home a region championship and a state championship so we can have you back on later in the year. But we appreciate y'all for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Back to you, Mike.
Hey, it's time for a break. When we return, it's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore and the Tennessee Smokies Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
Make the big play with MVP Money Tools from Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union. With KTVA ECUs, contactless debit card, direct deposits that hit up to 2 days early, credit cards that earn cashback reward points, and loans with competitive rates. Add all 4 MVP Money Tools to build your financial roster. It's everything you need to win financially.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Housing Lender. Restrictions may apply. Call for details. 800-467-5427.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and it's time for this week's Sports Headlines with Donnie Moore. Donnie, I think this is an exciting time of year. You got baseball going on, and you got college football and pro football. I mean, it's that part of the year where everything overlaps, and it's exciting.
Sure is,
exciting.
Mike.
It's all yours.
Sure is. Thank you, brother. All right, let's do some headlines. I'm going to start with an item that's a little bit off the beaten path.
I love when we go off the beaten path.
Yeah, I know you do, Troy. And this one is a sport that we cover here on the sports page, the Goatee Sports Page. Professional fishermen Jacob Runyon and Jace Kaminsky have been charged with felony cheating, attempted grand theft, and possession of criminal tools, along with misdemeanor counts of unlawfully owning wild animals, after allegedly stuffing fish with lead weights and fillets in an attempt to win a tournament and take home $28,760 in prizes.
Unacceptable.
Yeah. Tournament director Jason Fisher cut open the fish caught by Runyon and Kaminsky when the walleye weighed more than typical fish of that size. The anglers were disqualified from the tournament, and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources confiscated the fish as criminal evidence. Can you believe that? Oh, I saw a video of it too, and they had to hold these guys back to keep the other anglers from tearing them apart. Oh, the other anglers were
angry?
really angry at them.
What's the point in getting angry? I caught you. You don't win. Whoever's next wins. What am I mad at you for? You know what, Ray? It's people don't understand. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. You know, like sometimes you're not good enough to win. And so what you have to do is you have to just find any little advantage you can. Now, would I have put weights in the fish? Probably not.
I saw the weights. They were this big.
I would probably maybe do something that is a little bit less obvious, like putting weights in a fish. I would probably, use big nets or something. Like I'd attach a big net to my fishing boat, and I'd scoot down the river, and then I'd pick up my net, and I'd look for the biggest fish, and then I'd throw the other ones away, take the net, just discard it. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. And then
they were up to win a complete fishing boat with motor and prizes, cash prizes, and all this stuff. Man, they were in it to win it.
Heck, I'd put weights in a fish if I got a free boat. If I thought I could get away with it, I'd put weights in a fish so I could get a free boat.
Well, obviously the tournament director was an avid fisherman himself, and he recognized these fish as being too fat for fish of that size.
That's just bad luck.
So he cut them open. Oh, well.
You were hoping that the director was some sort of schmuck who doesn't know anything about fish, and then you get a guy who likes fish. That's unfortunate.
Oh, man. Well, the division series are underway in both leagues, and both leagues feature a best-of-5 game series. In the American League, the Cleveland Guardians are battling the New York Yankees, and the Seattle Mariners are taking on the Houston Astros. The National League Series features the Philadelphia Phillies against the ATL Braves, and the San Diego Padres doing battle with the LA Dodgers. And we got, I think, 4 games on tap today, Troy?
We do, I believe.
Wow. I'm telling you what.
And the Braves are facing elimination.
They are.
Well, you know what? Last year.
Things are heating up.
Last year we came on the show, and I talked all this mess about the Braves, and Dr. Klein came on here.
Smack. Yeah.
Dr. Klein came on here. He said the Braves are going to win it, and they ended up winning it. Here's the thing. Dr. Klein has not been on the show since then.
No.
And so if the Braves lose today and then their season's over, I think all the blame has to go on Dr. Klein.
I agree, yeah.
Because he didn't come out here and provide the motivation. He didn't provide the motivation for the Braves that they needed.
Yeah.
We'll have to get him back on here.
How about the Dodgers out there? One of the best teams in baseball. And they're back up against the wall, and San Diego needs one win out there, and they're at home. They're at home with the
Padres are heating up.
I think it's a massive product of the new playoff system. Obviously, in years past, you had the one game wild card game in which you could win in a fluky situation or anything and not really build some momentum.
Yes.
When you go to a best of 3 wild card series and the Padres win that series against the Mets, they get a lot of momentum while the Dodgers are just sitting at home. And the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. Do not get me wrong. Talented from top to bottom.
They are.
But the Padres got it rolling at the right time, and the Dodgers kind of had to wait for their opportunity to get their feet in these playoffs. And I think that is a really interesting thing that has to be looked at in terms of, obviously the Mets would say otherwise, and the fact that they blew a 10-game lead, they would have liked to have the opportunity to sit and wait to the DS. But I think just the Padres have some momentum. I still think the Dodgers are going to win this series, but it's going to be tough. And
I'll tell you, I'm really impressed with the Padres fans. I think it's great for baseball.
Oh, yeah.
That's a franchise been down a little bit, and
I agree.
Here they are taking on the best team in baseball, and they got them on the ropes, and they've got them right there at home. So.
And give a lot of credit to the Padres. At the All-Star break, they were not a very good baseball team. I think they were sitting a couple games under 500, maybe a couple games over 500, and they made the decision that, hey, we believe in this group we have. Let's go get some guys instead of selling it off. A lot of organizations don't do that. They seem when it seems to be teetering, they sell and try to build toward the future. The Padres said, no, we're too good for that. We're going to go get some guys. They went and got Juan Soto. They went and got some pitchers, and they changed their entire season. I mean, they have been one of the best teams in baseball over the last couple months.
You're right. Well, Kansas City Police Department has charged Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams with misdemeanor assault after an incident with a photographer at the Monday Night Football game in Kansas City this week. Adams appeared to shove a photographer who actually walked into the path of Adams. A complaint was filed with KPD, which resulted in the charge. The league is investigating.
I saw that.
I did too, Ray.
I saw that.
I saw replays of it too, multiple replays.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the guy for pushing the guy out of the way. I mean, he had a microphone and he was trying to get it up in front of his face.
Yeah.
He just shoved the guy out of the way.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I don't think Devontae Adams should shove the guy, right? But I do think that there has to be a better understanding, and again, this is not me defending Devontae Adams because what he did was wrong, but there has to be a better understanding that in a game like that where you lose in the final seconds, it's probably best to not just pester guys with microphones and cameras. Like, these are humans at the end of the day. They deal with real emotions, and they play this game for a living. They're competitors, and we probably shouldn't try and get every last minute detail of losing and winning after games. Like, we should have some grace with some guys to understand, like, hey, like, they really care about this. Guys just don't go. There is, some belief that, like, guys just go out there and they take their paychecks and they take their pads off and they go home. Guys care. Like, they don't practice 5 days a week and play on Sundays to not care. Like, they care. And, yeah, it's just.
Yeah, sort of like working at home and you've just worked all day, Coach Trail, out in the yard. You've mowed and you've done all these chores and you're sitting there in a chair and your wife says, you mind taking out the garbage? You know what I'm saying? It's just not a good time, to bother somebody with the garbage.
Timing is important in things, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, timing is important.
Yeah. Well, they lost the game, and that was,
Yeah.
Heartbreaker.
He's not in any mood to have a photographer.
And their season has not gone the way they expected it to.
I'll tell you what. Like I said, I think there's a place for people to be, but I don't. This guy was just a photographer type deal. I mean, why was he in the lane anyway? Where they go off the field.
I agree. Now there's going to have to, if the league doesn't intervene and further complicate matters, there's going to have to be a settlement out of court.
Yeah, that's all he's wanting.
That's all he's
wanting.
wanting.
He wanted $10 million.
I don't know what he wants.
Devontae's got it.
Huh?
Devontae just signed that big new deal. I'd be trying to get some money too.
Well,
that guy will be the richest photographer in the NFL.
Yeah,
after
he
this
tries
is all
to
said
get
and done.
money, and he tries to put lead in fish.
Yeah.
You know what kind of guy are we dealing with here on the show, Coach Trail? I don't know.
He's all for it.
You better watch your shirt here. You may go home without your shirt.
You're dealing with the guy.
This guy's a crook.
One of very low morals.
This guy's a crook in a man.
Oh boy.
Oh Lord.
Well, Syracuse men's basketball coach Jim Boeheim says he is not a big fan of college football's NIL. However, he says that he thinks it could be a great idea if you got rid of all the agents and boosters.
Well, that's who pays them.
Right.
You don't have any money, you don't have it.
That's his point exactly.
Yeah.
Get rid of all the agents and boosters.
Yeah.
NIL be a good thing.
That statement right there shows how near retirement he is.
It says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, I
that's right.
Yeah. He probably doesn't have as much money up there to give his players either. Some of these other
I would
places.
imagine no.
Probably, yeah. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, Mike, let's. My final article right here says the round of 8 gets underway at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on Sunday. Coverage starts at the South Point 400 is the race. The coverage starts at 2:30 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. The Cup Series driver who are left in the top 8 right here are Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Briscoe. Those are the top 8 drivers. Now, they are separated. Chase Elliott is the top driver with 4,046 points. Chase Briscoe is at number 8, and he has 4,009 points. They are separated by only 37 points. Now, the winner of that race could probably no matter who it is going to take over the lead, right?
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah. The play-by-play is going to be done by Rick Allen. The analysts are going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte. The top 4 drivers are going to advance to the championship 4, and anybody else is out.
Yeah, and everybody races.
Everybody races.
The whole field races. So when you get down to the 8 like that, you know, and you're looking at finishing high.
Yep.
Not only winning, but finishing high so you can stay in.
Right.
You got to stay out of trouble.
That's right. You got to stay out of trouble.
You got to stay out of trouble and try to finish.
That's right.
So
Vegas Motor Speedway, they'll probably have nice and sunny and warm weather.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about heating up the tires, do they?
That's good, because if they keep on going with this long season, they're going to be running into snow here pretty soon.
You got that right.
Coach
you
Trail,
got that
in a top 8 situation like this, your teammates are your best friend. I'm getting on the intercom saying, hey, Bill, get in front of that guy, slam on the brakes. Kaboom, he's out of there.
Yeah. And if Troy's
the brakes.
If Troy's driving, he puts his car out there, then they just start throwing the weight off of it, so he'll have the lightest car, right?
That's it.
Right, Coach Trail? Because he doesn't mind at all breaking the rules a little bit, if he's going to be fast.
I'm going to be flying.
There'll be an anvil in the back of it.
Yeah, boy. Throw out the anchor.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing Mario Kart. I'm going to be throwing shells out of my car and everything.
And he'll put weight in everybody else's trunk.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. That's it for this week's sports headlines. Let's focus on the spotlight. Back to you, Gunner.
Let's do that. And we've got major games all across the land in football. Coach Trail, it's the biggest day in college football that the season has seen.
Yeah, it's huge.
Across the nation. I mean, there's ramifications for rankings and playoffs,
conference championships.
I think
everything.
when you come back at the end of the season and review the season, this may be the week that you go back and look at, huh?
Oh yeah, I think it's more good teams playing good teams than we've seen. Now the first half of the season has been. They played a bunch of people that
a lot of cupcakes.
Yeah, the cupcakes, and they're trying to build their season. But now, I mean, we're down to the.
This is meat and potatoes.
Yeah,
Put up or
we're
shut
down
up.
to
That's
the real thing now, and the next 3 or 4 weeks is going to be that way.
Yeah,
and the teams are in the conferences and playing each other, and we eliminate all these gimme games that they have.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the most exciting time of the year in football.
Yep. Well, it's a good slate in the SEC, and I'm sort of looking at the top games that are in the SEC. Of course, we've already talked about Alabama and Tennessee. There's no doubt that's the big one today in this league. But there is another game up in Lexington. There tonight, 7:30 on the SEC Network, where number 16 Mississippi State, who's 5-1 and 2-1 over there in the West, and then Kentucky at number 22, they're going to be going head-to-head. And Kentucky, Will Levis is going to be back at quarterback for them. He's been out. So you're going to have really 2 fine quarterbacks going at it up there. And this is really a must game for Kentucky. And if Mississippi State wants to stay in the hunt over in the West, they badly need this game.
Yep. So. It's a big game. I mean, and I like Mississippi State in that game. I like the coach. I like the quarterback, and I'm hoping they'll win. Yeah. They've been down a long time. I'd like to see them win a big game.
Yeah. Well, it's really surprising that the 2 teams over in the West, Troy, that's really, got a chance at Alabama. Alabama's got to go to Starkville to play Mississippi State, and Ole Miss, both of them in the state of Mississippi.
Yep,
really, those are I'm seeing that they're the favorite. Texas A&M's dropped by the wayside. Arkansas's dropped by the wayside. You got the 2 Mississippi teams going at it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this week being a huge week, but when you look forward in the SEC West, those are 3 huge games, whether it be Alabama playing Ole Miss, Alabama playing Mississippi State, and Mississippi State playing Ole Miss to end the season. Those are 3 massive games. I know Alabama has been the team that represents the West for it seems like an eternity. They've just been in the SEC championship game. You book them there and they go, with the exception of that 1 year LSU won the national championship. But these two teams, Mississippi and Mississippi State, are really interesting. I think today will tell you how Mississippi State can fare with Alabama. If Tennessee puts up a lot of points on them, win or lose, I think you look at Mississippi State and you say, well, they can do something similar. They're a very similar offense. And Mississippi is weird in the fact that Lane Kiffin is known for his offense, but it's their defense carrying them this year.
Right.
I think it's I think those are three really good football teams.
I don't think Ole Miss is that good. They really haven't played anybody. I mean, this will be their first test.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they've
So
been
mean.
full. The SEC East, and we talked about it before the show, Coach Trail. We got Mississippi State at Kentucky today. We got LSU at Florida. And the SEC East, outside of Georgia and Tennessee, 3-11.
Yeah.
3-11 in conference games. So we've got some intersectional play, so to speak, today. We'll look and see if Florida can take care of business at home against LSU. And
Well, I'll tell you what, if
Kentucky, how they fare
LSU doesn't play any better than they did last week, Florida beat the tar out of them. Yeah. I like that coach at Florida. There's some of those guys I like, but I like the coach at Florida. I love his hairstyle.
Yeah.
Ray, let me tell you something. Mike is just he's too nice of a human to bring it up. But I told Mike I would issue a public apology today. Last week I came on here. I berated his beloved South Carolina Gamecocks that they had no chance of beating Kentucky. Now I do want to preface this, Ray, by saying I had zero iota that Will Levis was even considering not playing in the football game. I had no idea. So I do get a pass for that, but I sat here and I yelled at Mike the entire time about, no, Kentucky's a good football team. Kentucky's a good football team. And you know how I feel about South Carolina. To lose to that team by 10 points, Kentucky's not a good football
and
team.
He's exactly
They're a
right.
bad football team.
He beat me down last week
Oh,
where I was the size of Tom Thumb.
Yeah.
And I sat there and he goes, okay, who you going to pick, Kentucky or South Carolina? And I whispered, Kentucky. Take Kentucky.
And we were
wrong.
And we were,
How
and we
wrong
were
was
all
I on
wrong.
that deal?
Hey, I will say this: everybody at the panel picked Kentucky last week, so I was in good company.
Yeah.
Nothing but a bunch of losers.
Hey, let's look at some of these other games, Coach Trail. USC, Southern California, really making some noise out west. Them and UCLA, both undefeated, and they're at Utah today in a big game. Utah is a 3.5-point favorite. Utah's number 20th in the country. They got 2 losses. I think they lost to Florida, and they lost one other game. I'm not sure.
And
who
they're
it was.
favored?
They're favored by 3.5.
Southern Cal hadn't been beat,
They have not been beaten.
not.
They're 6-0. So I mean that's a huge game for
Oh,
them.
yeah. And I think Southern Cal will win the game.
Yep.
That would be my pick. I like the quarterback in Southern California. You know,
Me
that's
too.
I like that guy. I don't know that much about the other one there, but that'd be my pick.
Yep. And at high noon on Fox, you got number 10 Penn State at 5-0. They may be one that's a little underrated based on who they beat this year. They're at number 5 Michigan. Michigan's 6-0. Michigan's a 7-point favorite. There you got 2 undefeated teams in the Big Ten right there that are over there. They're over there in the East with Ohio State.
Yeah.
So they've both got Ohio State left on their schedule, but you know, a win right there puts them in a better. They're sort of like Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, you win this game and you win out and you've got 1 loss. Even though you're not in the playoffs, you've got an argument. As far as the playoffs are concerned. So, by golly, got Jim Harbaugh and Franklin there at Penn. Two coaches going at it in Ann Arbor.
I think Michigan will win that game. I've not watched them that much.
Yeah, and Penn State they're coming off a bye. They didn't play last week, so but we'll see.
I like Michigan in that game.
Yeah. Troy.
It's at Michigan.
It's at Michigan. Troy tonight, number 4 Clemson. I mean, all these games, you got 4 and 5 in big games. You got 7 in a big game with USC, and then you got Clemson at 6-0 down at Florida State. and they're a 5-point favorite and that game's on 7:30 on ABC. That's a huge game for Clemson.
Huge, and I mean, you want to talk about, like we've said this, there is going to be no margin for error when you play in the ACC. You have to go undefeated, and Clemson's kind of getting into that portion of their schedule. They're playing some of the best teams in the ACC. I think they got Syracuse coming up in a week or two, and they have to keep winning out because I think if you lose in the ACC, you're done. A one-loss ACC team ain't getting in the playoff, and this is a big one. Florida State has shown a tremendous amount of improvement from a year ago. Are they good enough to knock off Clemson today? Brian Johnson, I hope you're listening because the answer is no.
Yeah. And you got Coach Trail out west. You got Oklahoma State at 5-0 at TCU at 5-0.
That's going to be a heck of a game.
There you got another one right there.
Oh, I tell you what, that's going to be a real game.
Yeah.
Real game.
Yeah. Troy, Oklahoma State is one of those teams that's been right up there in the top 10 most of the year.
I don't believe I've ever remembered this many unbeaten teams
this late in the season.
This late in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to end up here, with when it all plays out. You may have a couple of teams that go through unbeaten, but then you're going to have maybe some teams that's got one loss, and maybe the playoff committee is going to have some. They're going to have some real predicaments.
There is also a very strong possibility that at the end of the year, just kind of the way the schedule looks and how it teams up and kind of how teams have separated themselves amongst their conference, there is a possibility that we sit here at the end of this season with 5 undefeated teams and only 4 spots. And
5 or 6.
5 or 6, and the committee has to sit there and figure out which 4 of these teams are the most deserving, and that is going. When you talk about a riot and anger and vitriol, that's going to cause it.
That's when you put 25, 40 million out on the table and say, look, we don't really know who we're going to pick, but would you take the 40 million and stay out of it if we pick somebody else? Put the money on the table.
And I'm the bad guy. He's offering money to people to step out of the playoff, and I'm the bad guy. Okay.
I don't know. Money seems to be a big thing, Coach Trail.
I don't know. I tell you what, you got more. You putting hooks in the fish here.
Yeah. North Carolina State 5-1. Number 15 at Syracuse 5-0. And golly, when I think about Syracuse, I go way back to the days of their great
Jim
backs,
Brown's
Floyd Little and Ernie Davis,
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah. But Syracuse. 3:30 that game on the ACC network. Syracuse is a three-point favorite to go there. But you say, well, the ACC's not very strong and so forth, but they got some teams in there. Wake Forest is a good football team, and I don't think they're as weak,
as they've been in the past.
From top to bottom. So, I don't know. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the SEC today. Coach Trail, Arkansas, boy, now they're really wishing that field goal had gone through. Texas A&M, because then they had Alabama, and then they got beat, last week again. I think at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And now they got a BYU team that's got a quarterback, offense, can run, can throw, and
they play out there, don't they?
They play out there, and the air's going to be real thin out there.
Yeah.
BYU comes in at 4-2. Arkansas comes in at 3-3 overall. They got another tough one today. That's a 3:30 game on ESPN. But they got their work cut out for them out there.
Yeah, I guarantee you they do. The way they played last week, they're going to have it every week.
And there's a coach, and Sam Pittman, he turned that deal around last year, and they had high hopes this year. And you just go back and you just think, hey, how can one play kind of turn everything around? But I just go back to that field goal. You get that field goal, and your whole mentality kind of changes with a win there.
The quarterback's been hurt, too.
Yeah, and the quarterback's been hurt. He's going to play today, Jefferson. He's going to play today. So
I'm just not a Jefferson fan. I have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes
he can be real good and be real bad.
I guarantee you. That's the way it looks.
He's sort of like the quarterback there at Florida.
Yeah.
You really don't know what you're going to get on every given Saturday.
Nope.
LSU, Troy's going to Florida today. Florida's a 2.5-point favorite, 7 o'clock ESPN tonight. LSU 4-1 or 4-2 and 2-1 in the league, and Florida 4-2 and 1-2 in the league. East versus West, so to speak. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe that LSU's as bad as they played last week, and I'm still not real sold on Florida. This will be an interesting game.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what. I like that Florida coach, Joe. I think he is. I think he's a real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him a little bit of time to get him some players. But I tell you what, he's done better than I thought he'd do coming in there.
Yeah. I think you look at this game, and I think you have to favor Florida. I look at LSU, and I see, I don't know what it is. It appears to be some sort of locker room issue in there with that top receiver, and his name's blanking at the moment. But for him not to be on the field in some critical red zone situations last week against Tennessee, and talk about the players-only meeting last week, there's some issues there in that LSU passing attack. And if you can't rely on your quarterback to get you quality yards throughout a football game, you can't rely on your receivers to make plays, it's going to be hard to win football games. So I'm not sure that LSU's not as bad as they were last week. I just think that it appears that they have some real issues in that organization right now.
Boy, any team that played as bad as that team played last week, it's hard to believe anybody, in my opinion, could be that bad.
No, I mean, it was like everybody went on strike.
I mean, they were bad all the way across the board.
They didn't care. I thought
Tennessee
it looked like it didn't
took advantage of everything they threw out there. So, but I think it'll be interesting. Number one, Georgia plays Vanderbilt today for homecoming. And I guess the good thing about that is Vince Dooley, the former coach at Georgia, has been in the hospital with COVID.
Yeah.
He's out, feeling better. He's going to be there today with a book signing, I guess, that he's got going, and that's good news on that front. But Georgia's got some work to do down the road. They've got Florida, and they've got Mississippi State, I believe, and they've got Kentucky.
Yeah.
Kentucky to play, so they've got some work to do.
Right. That'll be a. I tell you, we're down to the
nitty-gritty
core of the apple here. Everybody's been munching on the outside. It's time to get to the inside now.
Yeah, everybody's going to start thinking, well, now, if this happens and this happens and this happens right here, you just got to take care of business. You got to take care of business and win. Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, the panel presents Shelter Insurance's bold college football predictions. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
Dunkin' has what you need to conquer the day. So if you want to go from, I don't got this, to, I got this, well, then get this. A bold, smooth espresso drink from Dunkin'. Like a layered velvety caramel macchiato, a rich chocolatey mocha latte, or a creamy non-dairy oat milk latte. Because this day isn't going to conquer itself. No, you're going to do that. Take a sip of You Got This with Dunkin' Espresso drinks. Order ahead on the app, plus earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: Call us first. We'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Panel Shelter Insurance Bold College Football predictions this week. So, Troy, we've talked a lot of football this morning, so let's see where everybody stands.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at last week real quick. And Mike, you went 3-2. It put you at 14-15. You're right on the precipice of 500. You're also.
I would be if Charlie hadn't picked that. Remember,
you are also tied.
I've got that Charlie outlet the rest of the year.
You are tied for the lead because I was horrible last week. Nobody should have let me pick games last week. I don't know what was wrong. I think I ate something. It might have been the donuts. That's why I didn't bring them this week. I think that might have been it. That's what I'm blaming it on. Anyway, I went 1-4, so I'm also tied for the lead at 14-15 on the year. Ray Trail also went 3-2 last week. He completes a three-way tie at the top of this leaderboard right now. Donnie, you went 2-3 last week with Charlie's picks, 6-4 with Charlie picking for you the past 2 weeks. He helped you out a lot more than he helped Mike. I think that says a lot more about your friendship with Charlie than Mike's friendship with Charlie.
Absolutely.
And Marcus, he went 1-4 again last week. He's at 10-19. That's why he left. He didn't want to make any more picks, and so Charlie is currently typing his picks out for Marcus right now, I believe, and he will send them to me as we go throughout this thing because Marcus is helpless. He's at 10-19 on the year, and he's going to finish at the bottom, boys. We don't need to worry about that. We're all battling for 1 through 4 right now. We're going to start off with the new story of the year. Last week we talked about Kansas being the story of the year. Well, they lost, so now they're no longer in the storybook. The new story of the year is the undefeated James Madison Dukes. They're in the top 25.
I passed JMU on the way up. I looked right at the interstate.
Man, the Fighting Dukes are the number 25 team in the country in their first year in FBS after making the jump from FCS last year. And I want to say this before I give you the rundown on what this game looks like. I don't understand why, but James Madison is not eligible to play for its conference championship, even though it's probably one of the best teams in its conference, nor is it eligible to play in a bowl game, and it would be bowl eligible today if it beats Georgia Southern, because apparently in the NCAA, if you go from Division II to Division I, you get a 2-year postseason ban. So when you go from the small to the big, they punish you for it. Don't make any sense. NCAA, please change that rule. I would understand if it was going from the big to the small.
Yeah. Some of the players were caught in a fishing scandal. They stuffed their fish with lead weights.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let the kids celebrate their success. It's like they're winning for nothing in a way. But James Madison, number 25, is
They punished them for moving up.
Yeah, which is dumb. They are a 13-point favorite today, Mike, at Georgia Southern. How do you like the Dukes today?
Favorite, Georgia Southern.
Mike got no idea who the Dukes are. Yeah, we're taking the points. 13 points at 3-3 Georgia Southern.
Well, I know Georgia Southern's got some football tradition. Maybe
what's JMU's record?
James Madison is an undefeated 5-0.
And what is Georgia Southern?
3-3.
3-3 Georgia Southern.
I believe, yeah.
3-3. You got to beat them by 13 points down at Georgia Southern. I'll take Georgia Southern.
Taking GSU. Mike does not believe in the 13
Dukes.
Points. Mike, the points.
Ray, what do you got?
Is that Georgia
Southern, the Eagles, not the Panthers that beat Tennessee a few years ago.
Screaming Eagles.
I'll take Georgia with the points.
Georgia Southern's where the defensive coordinator at Georgia back in the day coached. Didn't he go to Georgia Southern?
Yeah.
I can't recall the guy's.
I can't think of his name.
I can picture him right now. He looked like Uncle Fester. You know, bald-headed.
Yep.
He would butt heads with the players, and he was some kind of guy. Maybe he's floating around down there somewhere, huh?
I don't think.
Maybe he can help us out, Coach Trail.
I think maybe he butted too many heads.
Yeah. You recall his name? I can't recall.
I don't.
Yeah, I'll think of it here in a minute.
Okay.
Donnie Moore, who you got? Dukes or
I
Eagles?
think the Dukes can score enough points to cover those points. I think they can score enough to cover those points. I'm going to take the Dukes and throw 13.
Remember Charlie Palaio picking for Marcus Fitzsimmons here today. Charlie Palaio says James Madison has the nicer campus. He's going with the Dukes. Now, that's not a reasoning for picking football games, but these are the things we've come to expect from Charlie. So he is going to pick JMU, and I am also rolling with the Dukes. My good friend Don Palumbo is a JMU graduate. He's having as much fun this college football season as anybody I've seen, and the Dukes keep it rolling today in a rout of Georgia Southern. I think they beat them by 20+. The next game is we're going to go back to some teams that you guys know. I know you guys aren't very familiar with James Madison. I can see it in your face. You look a little sad.
The only time I remember James Madison is when I was coaching at
when he was president?
Emory Henry College. No, at Emory College. And Emory and Henry College went up to James Madison and beat them the first game of the season. And I thought that after that game they canceled football up at James Madison, but evidently not. So.
They're back.
I guess they're back. Maybe the NILs helped them out there. I don't know.
The next one is Oklahoma State at number 13 TCU. TCU is a 5-point favorite, and Charlie Palaio is taking the Cowboys, if that influences your decision at all today. Mike Edwards. Just tough.
Yeah, TCU, I think they had Kansas last week, didn't
they? They did, and they beat them by 7, 38-31, I believe.
And they're at home today against Oklahoma State.
Cowboys.
I'm going to take, TCU at home today.
Wow, okay. Ray.
I'm going to take Oklahoma State.
He's going to take Oklahoma State. Donnie Moore.
I think I'm going with the Cowboys, too.
Yeah, 5 points is a lot. TCU's a really good football team, but I see this one being decided by 3-ish in that area.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Oklahoma State as well. We're moving on to number 10, Penn State at number 5, Michigan. Michigan is a 7-point favorite. I'll go out here and say it. This is outrageous. Michigan ain't beating Penn State by more than a touchdown. No. I'm taking Penn State. I think Penn State's going to win the football game. I disagree with you, Ray. I think Penn State's going to win the football game. I think Michigan doesn't have the offense necessary to beat Penn State today. But, Mike, who do you got?
I'm going to take Michigan at home today.
He's going with the Wolverines.
I think it might be closer than 7. I'm a little concerned about that because Penn State is a running football team, and they're going to eat some clock up there. And Michigan, I don't know. I like James Franklin. I really do. And Jim Harbaugh, he needs this win there at home. He's number 5. He's number 5. I know there's a lot of Tennessee fans that are rooting for Penn State today, but I'm going to take Michigan at home.
Ray, I know you think Michigan's going to win, but are they going to win by more than 7?
Yeah.
Wow, that's confidence, and I appreciate that about you, that you stick to your guns.
Coach Trail, you and I are going to go down with the Titanic if things don't materialize.
Whatever.
Charlie Palaio, he says that Michigan is going to send James Franklin back to Nashville today. He's going with the Michigan Wolverines. And, Donnie, who do you got?
Michigan's favored by what?
7.
By 7?
It's a lot of points. Penn State's a good football team.
I don't think it's going. I think it's going to be closer than that. So I'm going to take.
Take the Nittany Lions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're going to. I think the points are going to be closer than that.
This is a tough one. Number 16, Mississippi State at number 22, Kentucky. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are a 3.5-point favorite, and as Mike said earlier, Will Levis is playing today, not that terrible, terrible quarterback who played last week and lost to that terrible South Carolina football team. Mike, who do you got?
He's starting with me quite often. Do you notice that on these picks?
Mike Edwards is the first initial that I have on my list, and so I just go with that so I can write it down in order.
Mississippi State's going to throw that football all over the field, and Kentucky's going to try to mix it up with a run and so forth. Mississippi State's a team that can score anywhere on the field, anywhere. I'm going to take Mississippi State.
Ray?
Mississippi State.
Donnie?
What's the line?
Mississippi State minus 3.5.
I don't think it's going to be that close. I'm going to take the Dogs.
Going to take the Dogs. This one's tough. As I always frequently say in this segment, you pick the better quarterback. I think Will Levis is a good quarterback, but there's not a quarterback in the country playing as well as Will Rogers is right now.
He's hot, boy.
I'm going with
next to Hendon Hooker, or maybe they're comparable
right there.
now.
Yeah,
they're right there comparable. And boy, I'll tell you what, I hate to bet against a quarterback that's as hot as he is.
They are both on my fantasy team, and I'm struggling to figure out who to start today. Number 3, Alabama, -9 at number 6, Tennessee. We're going to close out with this one. Charlie Palaio says Tennessee wins outright. They break the Manning curse today. He's going with the Vols. Mike Edwards.
Again?
Yes, you.
Okay. Coach Trout didn't mention this. Tennessee is 28 for 28 in the red zone this year. 28 for 28 in the red zone.
That's good.
Unbelievable. I tell you what.
9 points.
9 points it's a lot of points, and if they've got Bryce Young back, I know there's a lot of hype over there, and I hate to do this, but until Tennessee proves to me that they can beat Alabama.
Not rolling with them?
I'm going with Alabama.
Said the same thing about Florida.
I know I did.
Ray?
Like to pull it out.
9 points.
I'm going to go with Alabama.
He's going to go with Bama as well. Donnie Moore.
Oh.
Actually, I'll go, and you can. I'm going to take the Vols just because I think
you don't
9.
Take him because of Charlie?
No, I think 9 is a lot. I think Tennessee finds a way to score the football, and that they do it. And Donnie, I'm going to let you pick and then blow that whistle because I know we're running out of time.
My heart says Tennessee, but I think the points are too. The spread's too big.
Yeah. So going with Vols.
So I'm going to take the Vols too.
There we go. We're all locked in.
All right.
That might be an 0-5 for me this week. How you feeling about it, Coach Rail? I'm not feeling real good about this week at all.
All right, that's it.
Donnie, blow that whistle.
Hey, the final whistle is blown, and that'll do it for today's edition of the Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael at Loud Media, our host, the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Ray Trail, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo Heron, and the pride of Florida State, Brian Johnston. Until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
Mike, that's the point of the game.
I feel good about it. I mean, he throws some deal in there. I don't know why he didn't have a Greenfield Central High School playing Newcastle up in Indiana. What was I supposed to pick on that deal?
James Madison?
James Madison.
They're a top 25 team.
Have you seen them play?
Yes.
You have?
They played in the national championship last year against North Dakota State in FCS. They lost, and then they jumped up. They're a good football team. They're pretty good. They play. They're much better than Hawaii, I promise you that. Mike hasn't realized yet the point of the game is for it to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy.
I understand it, and
that's why I don't bet on games.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be
Put
difficult.
money in the stock market right now is bad enough for me. I don't want to bet on football.
Hell no.
Marcus said one of these was unplugged.
I know, it was unplugged in the power outlet.
Power out.
Yeah. I got I'm going to check
Well,
those
we
every
just
week.
need to make sure we get a chance to check everything.
Yeah.
Need more time. Need more time to set up. We're not allowing enough time to set up. How much were we off? We were on Facebook until that went on the radio?
No, we were on radio still.
We were on radio the whole time?
Yeah, you just couldn't hear it here, but it was still playing.
Oh, okay. So we weren't off of radio. No. We weren't holding up the station anyway. It was just kind of an inconvenience to us because we couldn't hear the sound. Well, it worked out.
Yeah, but we still need to make sure that we...
It's just kind of awkward talking without any headphones.
We set up. We have time to set up and check.
Okay. Well, I thought we were off the radio. So. What did you do? Well, that was good. Coach exceptional today. You and I are going to be 0 for 9 come next week, I'm afraid. But, you never know. You know, the point spread gets you. Because you can pick the game, but if you don't beat the spread, then there you are.
Yeah, you're screwed if you don't beat the spread.
I've always been a winner or a loser.
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit easier.
That's me.
What you have to do.
I'd like
Extra
to
large?
Hey, I'd like to pick
Thank you,
Tennessee.
sir. Ooh, I like that.
I'd like to pick Tennessee over here today, but I'm telling you, you're playing
like
against
that green.
you're playing against the
Mike?
Heisman Trophy winner.
Mike, extra large.
Oh, thank you. You're playing against the Heisman
That's
Trophy
nice.
winner.
Look at that. That's a nice new color you got there.
A great defense. That's a fall color, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I like that.
Boy, next week's going to be hell for me, boy. Well, my father-in-law's going in Monday morning at 7:30 for surgery.
What?
Well, I think they got cancer. One of his lungs are going in for second line over at UT Hospital. Well, my wife's going to go over there and stay. I'm going to let her off. Come back and be with her mom. But her mom is at home and she can't do anything. She can't do nothing. And I got to pick her up and try to get her little bathroom. I got to lift her up. She can't walk. She messes all over herself. I've got to clean all of that up. I got to be there with her until 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, or whenever Deb decides to leave over there. Then I'm going to go over there and trade